The next session is sponsorship trends in the consumer electronics and technology sector. And moderating the session is Tulika Yadav, Chief Marketing Officer, Paytm Insider, India's leading platform to discover and buy tickets to movies, events, and experience. She has been behind the scenes in the entertainment industry for last 10 years, driving innovative marketing and content strategies and best marketing and ticketing practices for countries' most successful live properties like Bacardi NH7 Weekender, EDC India, and several more. Joining her on the panel, we have Krishna Gopal, Global Head Enterprise Business Solutions, Tech Mahindra, Rahul Datta, Head of Marketing, HP India, and Amit Sethia, Chief Marketing Officer, Cisca Group. Tulika, please take it forward.
Hi everyone, welcome to India Sponsorship Summit. This is a very exciting panel where we're going to be discussing sponsorship trends in the consumer tech and consumer electronics space. I'm really excited to have with us Amit Sethia, who's the CMO of Cisca Group, Krishna Gopal, who's the Global Head of Enterprise Business Solutions, Tech Mahindra, and Rahul Datta, who's the Head of Marketing for HP India. So welcome everyone to this incredibly gloomy afternoon. Is everybody based in Bombay?
I am, yes.
Okay. Amit, Rahul?
Gurgaon.
Gurgaon.
I'm from Pune.
From Pune. Okay. So I'm just going to take the consideration here. I'm feeling a little bit reflective right now. And I think I actually want to take a couple of steps, or maybe a couple of months back. And I want you to talk about what experiential marketing actually means for your brand. How important is it? And I would love to learn also, as with the audience, which have been some of your campaigns that have been really impactful, something that has been truly memorable. So maybe just a quick retrospective, a quick reflection on what experiential marketing has been for the brands that you've been working with, before we actually jump into what's happening right now.
Sure. I think the recent one being a Diwali campaign that we've done a few years back, where we came up with the concept of how a kid has actually helped a local diya maker, and that was the whole story around it. And then the story got hooked on the internet. Everybody loved it, and then we actually did activations around it where we helped the diya or the pottery maker guys to have events in societies and associations over a period of time. And I think that was one area where everything just seamlessly fall into place in that particular one area, where we've had digital, where we have PR around it, we had activation and experiential marketing around it. So I think it all fell into place. It was in the right vibe. The festive vibe was on at that particular point of time. So as a brand, we've got a lot of applause for that, and everything was just kind of fitting into place.
It's actually one of the campaigns that I think was really powerful, and something that even I still remember. And I think that's truly commendable for a brand, right? Because we're constantly inundated as consumers, not just as marketing leaders. We're constantly inundated with so many different campaigns that you remember that one that actually moved you. I think that for a brand is just a big, big win. Amit, what about you? I think for Cisca as well, we've seen some incredible campaigns. How does, again, experiential marketing fit into your marketing decisions? How important is it? And if you could tell us about a campaign, I think that would be a great start.
So first of all, I think it's important to understand that, as a brand Cisca, we are in the whole space of FMEG actually. So it's not FMCG or FMCD, it is FMEG, fast moving electrical goods. And I think and we are known for our flagship brand, which is Syska LED. Traditionally, LEDs were always looked at as a very institutional, product. And I'm sure everybody is aware about Syska LED as a brand for what we have done so far. But having said that, I think the reality is that as a product, LED doesn't invite you organically as a product to get engaged with, right? Because the moment you get this product in your house, the only thing that you do is basically switch on and switch off, right? So you are not really aware about as to what is the brand, what is the wattage, etc., etc. So I think that's a fundamental problem, I would say, or the area where we can actually go further and create those engagements basically with the consumers. So I think for us, the engagement really started happening when we started IoTizing the product. So the LED became like a smart LED, the LED which can be controlled by apps, the LEDs which can be controlled by voice assistants. And if I have to quote one campaign, I think last Christmas I did one campaign wherein we converted India's living tallest Christmas tree, which is in Worli, into a magical tree. So what we did was we decorated this tree with hundreds of these smart bulbs, and we invited kids to actually come and play with the technology, because we always have this inhibition that, oh God, it's a smart LED, so I won't be able to handle this product. What if things go wrong, etc., etc. So the whole idea was, if kids can interact with this technology and with the product, why can't you? So trust me, when these kids came, on the ground, and then they started commanding, the product, the bulbs basically to change the colors from red to green to yellow and whatnot, it was magical. So I think this particular campaign gave us a lot of, mileage, I would say a lot of visibility, and still people remember that, oh, that's a Syska tree, which is not the case actually.
Krishna, would you like to go next? We'd love to hear.
Yeah, Amit. So, I think I want to offline catch you on this. I have this Google Home, and I want to kind of marry that with your smart bulbs and play some. That's what my son has been telling me. And another, I think this Karam Chandani, I think they are owned, Syska is owned by them, right?
Yeah.
They are part of the partner. Yeah. Saurabh works for Tech Mahindra. He's in my training. Anyway, so I think, Tulika, the problem with the IT firm is that we are not, B2C as much, right? So we are more B2B. And therefore, our marketing, if at all, is fairly below the line. Okay. So that's statement number one. Having said this, we still do marketing, which is largely around conferences, around seminars. So, participating, for example, in the SAP's premier event called Sapphire, or participating in the Oracle. I mean, HP's colleague is here, he knows it, right? I was there at the HP event, Discover last year. So we do participate, we do sponsor, and then we get our presence through those events, right? Or Oracle Open World, or Salesforce's Dreamforce. So this is something that we do. That is one set of constituents, which are the partners and walk-in customers, with whom is largely experience oriented. Your own stall, your own in-store or events kind of stuff. That is one. Then your newsletters, etc. That's one thing. And we've done a slew of them over the last year. And I think Sapphire this year got cancelled because of COVID, and probably we'll have to do Sapphire online, and which will not be the same, right? That's one part. The other large constituent to whom you have to do marketing, in a way, again below the line, is the people that we hire. Again, very bad time to talk about hiring, right? So it is a large company. It's in 135,000, 125,000 people. If 62% of your costs are HR, and those people in good times, when we have to hire, we have to get the best, and then messaging to them is a very big thing. So our social media spend, and therefore the social media, what we do is pretty strong. So how we appear in Glassdoor, how do we appear in LinkedIn, how do we appear in various Twitter, etc. And the recent kind of win that we had on GPTW, Great Places to Work. We are, I think, 21 or something. There are 5 Mahindra companies in that, and we are 21. So that is also something to kind of peg in the mind of that constituent, which is the people that we hire. So I think I'd kind of pause there, since I'm not much in this, campaigning kind of thing in my business.
Right. Okay. I think this makes for a fairly rich conversation because all your focus is on the B2B side, while everybody else here, I think, is fairly B2C focused. And of course, parts of what we're doing also focus on the B2B. So I would actually like to hear, Krishna, from you on how do you actually, look at when you're, figuring out, okay, these are the events that we want to associate with. What is the filter that you've developed over the years on these are the ones to zero in on? Is there some sort of like brand thinking that you're applying there?
You see, in our business, and I'm sure as in going forward in any kind of our business more so, and now you're hearing this, battle between India and China and India and America, India, whatever. There is this concept of balance of trade, right? So when you do a lot of work, or you want to do a lot of work with SAP, then you have to participate in Sapphire. Or you do a lot of work with Oracle, then you have to participate in Oracle Open World, right? So, and then at some stage, the balance of power, if you are becoming a partner who's bringing more business to them, you want to participate anyway, because, you want to kind of this, right? So there is this balance of trade. So that balance of trade is one driver to do the marketing spend, right? The other is, which is around, shall we say, discretionary. So, for example, we have decided that we would like to be a partner with Wall Street Journal. So, if you see, there is a Wall Street Journal Tech Mahindra website, and there is a curated content that comes from Wall Street Journal, interviews, etc., etc. That is probably one, I would say, indulgence that we have had in terms of doing a proper marketing, so to speak. That is number 2. Number 3 is we do what is called as account-based marketing, right? So if you are a $5 billion company, that business, 80% of it comes from 70 accounts, 70 customers. So how do I present myself to those customers and to the constituents inside those customers through a variety of media? So one of the, for example, another not an indulgence really, is, we work a lot with analysts. So analysts, to set a context, are the likes of Gartner. Again, HP will know Gartner, Forrester, IDC, etc. And we work with them and their senior analysts and do in-company webinars and seminars, right? So I'm fairly talking now in the past. Past is 100 days prior. In these 100 days, many things have changed. And, if you ask me what is going to come, frankly, I'll be honest and say, I don't know.
Excellent. Right? That's a great place to pause, actually. Yeah. That's a great place to pause. We pause on the I don't know, because I want a comment from the other panelists on what you just said. You said the partnership with Wall Street Journal and Tech Mahindra, you've termed it as an indulgence. And that's very interesting for me to hear, because in my mind as well, I think the conflict is always between scale, as well as being able to reach a very typical type of consumer that I would definitely want with my brand. Rahul, do you have a point of view on, let's say, these indulgences versus marketing at scale? And also, if you could comment on whether experiential marketing actually allows you to do that. Does it give you that sort of room? Or do you feel that there are so many other marketing technologies available right now? There's so much focus on digital content. And you feel that, it's ad money is a better spent, or marketing money is a better spent on other channels versus experiences?
So in my view, I think it's not the mix of the marketing. I think it's how you fit into the whole fabric of what your business and marketing objective is. And if that seamlessly flows into the strategy, which is either you're going ATL, BTL, or experiential in any way, that should be a core, or that's a deciding factor for any marketer, right? So it's not we come up on a brand side. At least I can tell you that we should not start with, or we do not start with that we have to do experiential. We start with, okay, here is a marketing objective that we have. Here are the audiences that we have. Let's figure out what's the best way to reach out to them, right? And that's where the experiential marketing comes in. And there are areas where experiential marketing is one of the best forms, where you have to actually show, let's say, a product superiority. For example, if there is a car and I have to show, I mean, some of the products are, I saw it, I love it. So there are some things where you have to actually go and show the whole thing. There are times when you have to actually connect with the audience. Like Amit showed a great example of a Christmas tree with a with an LED bulb. That's another one. And on a B2B side, I completely agree with my fellow panelists in a way that there are times when you need to get people out of their daily work in the way that they're kind of working on, because on a digital space you've got less than few seconds, or on some other things there is so much that you can do. So you have to get them out of their what their regularly rut is right now, and get them off that particular thing and inspire them to probably look at the bigger problem and have a larger conversation, a better engagement. So I think experiential has a very, very important role into the overall situation, but it'll only work when it seamlessly fit into the fabric of the marketing and a business objective.
Right. Okay. And how do you see that playing out right now? And I'm reading from Krishna's statement on what's to come next. I don't know, which is a bold and brave acknowledgement of where we are all at. How do you see that playing out right now? What are your thoughts on what comes next?
I think the purpose is a very, very important key peg where everything just centers around the whole thing. So it's not either it was events or experiential marketing. I think if you're connecting with, it's just think of it like you're hiring it for a job to do. If that job is getting done, then of course the future still exists. And I think most of you guys are right now figured out a key for that. I mean, an Insider or some of the other companies have really, really cracked the code on fast that in terms of that, the core peg is the content. If the content is good, people are still willing to pay, right? So if the objective and the purpose is right, then you will find the audience around it. Because while there is like a tons of common content which is available down there, if you're making something contextual, if you're making something which is relevant for me, I will invest my time onto it.
Right.
So I think from a future perspective, it's very important to not bury yourself into the sea of sameness, and be very clear about who's your audience on the other side, what's the problem they are facing, how can you help as a brand at this point of time. And I'm sure you will get the attention of your customers. And we've seen that. We have a series which is called Be Unstoppable for SMBs. We've got the experts in terms of, how do, in this particular situation, how can we help them to serve better their customers. So it was not about what we've got for them, it was about how they can serve better their customers in terms of security, finance, marketing. It was very well received. And we've actually measured the overall engagement and ROI till the last mile. And we've seen that there is an incredible jump in comparison to probably doing any other form of marketing in the SMB space. So I think the future holds good. It is just the fundamental needs to be correct. It's like a game of Tetris. You need to fix the basics and then everything will fall in place.
So when it comes to, these events or experiential marketing programs, I think, obviously, it starts with a marketing brief. There is a problem that you want to address, right? But irrespective of whatever I do, trust me, everybody comes and offers me that, okay, fine, Amit, we are going to put you as a lighting partner. Now, how does it work? It doesn't sort of solve the purpose, right? So whether it's a sport or a music festival or whatever, suddenly you're a lighting partner just because I'm known for LED lights. So I think it doesn't serve the purpose, right? And I tell them in detail that, okay, think of it as a consumer. Don't think that you're an event chap or an experiential marketing expert. Before we are a marketer, we are a customer, right? We are a consumer. So, wear that hat and then think, okay, what can you do to really make this experience, come alive? And then they will struggle a lot, or else the best part is, and no offense to anybody, I love all my stakeholders. The ideas that they will come up with is, mostly very, very desperate, because, for sure it is not working out very subtly or beautifully the way you want as a marketeer, right? So one such example was I was approached by a leading, fashion sort of event setup, wherein they said, okay, fine, we will put you as lighting partner. I said, so how does it serve your purpose? So they said, okay, fine, we'll put the lights, along the ramp walk. I said, wow, what an innovative idea. It's crazy out there, right? So I think for me, the issue is, I definitely want to create experiences, but the experiences which are very, very convincing, not very plastic, and people will appreciate that, okay, fine, I understand why you're talking to me, right? So example, if anybody will come and say, okay, fine, Amit, this is my event, come along as a sponsor. I think it doesn't work that way, because I think, look at our own experiences, guys. I mean, like, we go to so many events, right? And when you come there, when you enter the space, how many times we are really bothered who's the presenting sponsor, supporting sponsor, this sponsor, that sponsor, because when you go back home, you don't really remember what was this whole game was all about, right? Unless and until that brand really brings on something special to you. I think that's the way a customer memory is also like that, right? A 5-seconder memory. So I think I'm not very impressed with the current scene out there, and the propositions that are created for my brand. But yes, I think as and when I get convinced, I decide, okay, fine, let's try that.
Okay, so what is the frequency at which you actually engage offline?
See, it's not the frequency that I have to match and say, okay, fine, I have done tick mark 1, tick mark 2, tick mark 3. That's not the idea. The idea here is, do I really or example, am I going to create something bigger out of this event? So example, I'll tell you that, this pro kabaddi, right? I mean, like, when cricket was the only game, everybody was doing cricket. But suddenly we realized that, Indians are loving this whole new game, which is kabaddi, which is so core to us, right? And we also shifted our focus from cricket to kabaddi. Now, there we were not, as lighting partner, because one of my category, the different category I have is a grooming solutions, right? So I, in fact, was able to create a grooming solution for the stakeholders of the very team that I was supporting, right? And I was able to generate content, I was able to generate conversations, and actually that helped the brand to go out and make a lot more meaningful presence, right? Otherwise, एक bulb लगाने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, right? That's the fundamental.
अमित, एक बल्ब लगाने से बहुत रोशनी आती है अंधेरे में. But you've really thrown an open challenge to agencies that are approaching you, artists that might be approaching you as well, to come back with more powerful stories that the brand can actually connect with. And I think that's a really key takeaway. I would like both of you to actually take a minute to actually think about, Rahul and Amit, what these connections will look like in a digital world. As I circle back to Krishna and actually ask, from the I don't know, what is the roadmap now looking like for Tech Mahindra? What are the thoughts that you have as a marketing leader on how this will transform?
Well, I'm not the marketing leader, but as a business person who is seized of many things, I think what has happened is that we have been compelled to go digital, to go work from home, or work from away from the customer's premises. So everything is so let us look at our business, right? Our business is people. Our business is people going and sitting in the customer's premises and doing coding projects, whatever. And our businesses of, again, 100 days back, right? Of people going to offices and working and all that. suddenly there has, been challenged and, almost demolished, right? The questions that's going to be asked is that if somebody was in San Jose and working from home for the last 100 days for Cisco, right? He can as well work from Kakinada, right? Or wherever, Davangere. So why do I have to pay him $110,000? Instead, can I not pay him, 15 lakhs of rupees? And maybe give him another 5 lakhs of rupees to work in US timings. Now, this is going to mean enormous amount of communication in terms of how we hire people, because anybody looks at IT as my 62% cost. The unspoken thing is he wants to get an H-1B visa and go abroad, no? Right? Otherwise, the stampede for computer software, etc. I don't think anybody was, dying to be a computer software. Everybody was wanting to, I'm just generalizing now, but people, the larger play was wanting to go abroad. So my communication to this constituent needs to change substantially, and I don't think we have entirely thought about it, right? Or for that matter, that if he can work from, in my case, same example of Davangere or whatever else, Hubli, then do I need that huge campus with food courts and volleyball courts and tennis courts that I was earlier showcasing as, a continuum of college campus? Because my average age is, this 27, 28. So if I'm not going to have that, what else? How am I going to remain engaged? So as I said, my primary marketing target are the 62% cost of people, right? My customers, frankly, in today's world with whatever is happening in terms of cost cuts and so on, so many companies going bankrupt, payments not happening, etc. They are looking at us as vendors to cut costs. They don't care, right? So that's on one side, which is immediate, that I see as, recession, whatever comes. People may say that, oh, it's all going to be well, after 15 years, I'll start going for movies, etc. I don't think so. I think it's going to take some more time. So, which means that how do I, work on this constituent of people, market to them well, engage them well? That is my communication challenge.
And I think that's fairly exciting, and I'm glad you brought that up. So, what are the sort of strategies or programs that you're actually developing now for your workforce?
Oh, okay. We do enormous amount of communication, enormous amount. So, if you see Anand Mahindra, right? He has gone on record saying that webinar is Webimar, right? And that we are doing a webinar, unfortunately. But, and anyway, so keeping that aside, he has a point, and all of us roll our eyes and we say, oh, yet another webinar. Now, so enormous amount of communication we do through fun, through games, through talk shows, through training, knowledge, counseling, telemedicine, all a slew of it is happening. In fact, I and my team are personally running a talk show called The Prime Time. And it used to happen at 9 p.m, every single day, Monday to Sunday, right? Every single day. It was relentless. And we said, oh my God, on one hand, the chairman is saying webinar, on the other hand, you're forcing us. So, but it worked well. 66, we did it at trot. Now we're doing only Monday to Friday. And we get great speakers, right? And so there is a sense of somebody looking forward. Hey, 9 o'clock, man, I look forward. KG will come. Prime time will happen. And we have been getting great speakers, right? Ganesh Natarajan, Sunday, tomorrow we'll get a Vidya Balan, and so on and so forth, right? So that brings in, somebody asked me, why are we doing this? I said, why was gladiators happening in the Romans, right? Keep the masses engaged, right? So that is, this serves that purpose, besides, of course, knowledge and all that. But there are other things that we do, right? As I said, telemedicine, counseling, training, fun. We sometimes get together, and we see this all the time, right? They get together, everybody lifts their coffee and talks, or there is games played, or music played, etc. So that is what we are doing a lot as we worry about how to get back to work. In fact, first time after 100 days, I'm going to work tomorrow.
Sorry, I missed that last part.
First time after 100 days, I'm going to office tomorrow. Otherwise, I was stuck here.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So just a follow-up question to that. In all the programs that you're running right now, all of these are being run online.
Online, yes.
I also wanted to know whether you were already running these, and is this just like a build-up? Is it an add-on, or is it because there was really no other recourse and therefore you had to switch to virtual events for your workforce as well?
Kind of. You're right. So if I have to give a number, this would have been at about 35% before.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is at 80%.
Right.
That this thing of another 45% or whatever it is has come. I'm just random as a field. We have done it because we have to, right? So, for example, I used to run a training program called SEAL, Sales Excellence and Leadership, and that used to be a 9-day. And we called it SEAL deliberately, right? US SEAL, right? So 9-day boot camp. 14 hours a day, starts at 6 in the morning, ends at 10 in the night. Saturday, Sunday included. Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday this side, Saturday, Sunday that side. Right? Now, I'm trying to replicate that in the virtual world. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I mean, I don't have the attention span, I don't have the control, I don't have the room, isn't it? But we are still trying to do it through a combination of many things, because in the virtual world, I can put the onus of learning back on the learner. Right? Sure. Hey, you have to do it. I mean, we are. So I put out a video on this. Right? I said, when we do a virtual training, like for that matter, any training, I said everybody is a ladki wale. There's no ladka wala. Right?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Okay. That is, in my time when we got married, it was arranged marriage, and the ladki wale did everything. Right? They spent all the money. They were responsible for the whole marriage, and the ladke wale were, one up on them. The ladki wale were covering in fright, right? I'm saying, boss, in our training, everybody is a ladki wale. There's no ladka wala to, be one up on us and say, boss, kind of stuff. So, I'm sure it's a different time now, but this is you've seen ads, right? You've seen ads of Shammi Kapoor with that pan parag coming out. Now, एक बात तो कहना तो भूल गए. बारातियों का स्वागत पान पराग से कीजिए, right? So then the ladki wale is covering in fright. Jala laga then, right? He's died.
Here in the ad, which side of the wedding he's actually on, but I'm going to leave that there. A quick question now: do you see yourself continuing with digital events even post-COVID? Do you see this now being hand in hand with all the physical events and experiences?
Yes. Because I don't think it is, COVID is not going to be like this Hollywood movie thing where somebody will come out and say, all clear, right? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's going to kind of be there, going to fade away, it's going to come back again. Spanish flu, we learned 100 years back, maybe not as bad, but it's going to probably be there. And suddenly you are also hearing about bubonic plague that China is threatening with, right? I hope it is not true. Anand Mahindra tweeted about it. So if it's going to be around, then health, distancing, physical distancing, masking, not wanting to be in crowded places will become the norm. It will become a hybrid. People will try it out. But I think digital will remain.
Okay. Rahul, let's switch to you. The question that I left you with was, how do you actually see digital experiences now, translating for the brand? Do you think you'll actually be investing in these? Do you think that same consumer sentiment, can you generate that through virtual events? What's your take on that?
I think digital experiences will absolutely be very, very important right now. As the clutter also increases on digital, it is the digital experiential part of that basically differentiates between what's happening around and what's going to be really special. So there will be brands who will be probably want to cut away from that clutter and want to work very closely with their customers in terms of seeing can they delight them in a certain way? Can they help them in a certain way through digitally as well? So it needs to be an extension of a brand ethos that they're working on. And I feel digital experience is going to be a very, very important part. It doesn't, it just basically accelerated the part of the digital experiences piece, the whole situation that is there right now. Does it mean it's going to come back? Absolutely. Is there going to be new formats which are hybrid? Sure. But overall, it has substantially will increase the digital experience part of the whole story.
Okay. And as a brand, are you already investing in certain initiatives?
Look, we are trying to kind of be at the forefront of it and trying to see how we work towards it. For us, at this point of a time, as a category, is one of the prime essentials that people need at this point of a time. Laptop is a window for the world right now, and as the screen time is growing, people are switching for personal screens than mobiles right now. So the idea is at this point of a time, it's not just about what they're buying, but why they're buying for, and how can we be, help them for that particular thing. So our overall brand motto at this point of time is helping you do better. How can we help you to learn better, play better? How can we help you to serve better your customers? How can we help you to manage your remote workforce? So there are a lot of enterprise solutions on managing remote workforce. So that's what our focus is as a brand, that as the situation improves, as we are going from a complete to a selective lockdown now, right? How can we help our customers and key cohorts in being better in whatever that they're doing? How can we be of some help?
Right. In terms of investing marketing dollars, what channels are you focused on right now?
So look, at this point of a time, by choice, we have to go towards where the customers are going right now. So we have to follow the customer journey. And we've seen over a period of time, there's a complete surge in the way that people are looking for it. Our objective is to make sure that we land them in the right destination and give them the best experience of our products. So digital is one area where we are investing a lot. And not just there, but also how can we keep them engaged with the brand? That's one story which is very important. So I think as a brand, for us, three very important parts are how do we help the in-market audience? That's one. People are looking for laptops. Second most important, how do we make sure that we ensure the supply to those audience? Because supply is a problem, and it's improving a lot thanks to all the e-commerce players and all our partners and all our HP worlds who are working relentlessly towards it. So supply was the second problem, and third is about how do we keep them engaged? How do we have a meaningful part of their life right now, which is centered around laptop?
Do you also see communities that are thriving online? And I'll take the example of Discord right now. Do you see yourself associating with online communities for any of, again, the campaigns that you might be running or any of the marketing needs that you have? Do you feel that's of value?
Yeah. So two of the major cohorts of the communities that we want to work with, and we've already started our work, is one is on the gaming side, which is phenomenally going to grow from an overall expansion perspective for us. From a content perspective, it's one of the most loved content in the generation that we are right now living in. So gaming is one cohort that we really want to work with the gamers over a period of time. So it's not just about selling them a box or just the laptop. How can we work with them in terms of enhancing their experience? So a lot of back-end work towards that is happening right now. The second thing is about creators. Now that's another community we want to work with over a period of time, both casual as well as professional creators, right? And India has this massive hype economy at this point of a time that's kind of thriving over a period of time. And we've got some wonderful creators who have their own content islands, not only in India, but outside as well. And this lockdown or this particular thing has actually given them a very focused set of audience over a period of time to work on. So how can we help them to set up right home studios? How can we work with like-minded brands? How can we work with right softwares to give them this complete experience so that they can stay in touch with their audiences?
Okay, awesome. Amit, if you could also comment on that, how do you see now translating Cisca's offline touch points into digital touch points? What are your thoughts on that?
If you're talking about offline to online, I think it is too soon to comment on, because ultimately as a brand, it is driven by a lot of, channel distribution, lot of retail presence across the country, because ultimately when you want to buy a bulb, you will go to electrical shop or a hardware shop, right? Because that's the end point where the moment of truth happens, right? For you when you are going to buy a bulb. But having said that, the newer categories that we have forayed into is also, having a lot of traction from, online customers actually. So to give you a small example, when the lockdown started, people were wondering now what will happen, right? From where we are going to, create customers, create value, etc., etc. But because the group is very agile and it is driven by, amazing leaders, we were able to reinvent the distribution channel immediately and address the grooming essentials requirement of the audiences organically, and that too through your medical stores. Because when the lockdown was on, only your humble kirana shops and medical stores were running right across the street. There was nothing else in the country. And over a period of time, within 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks of time, people started realizing that, oh, I need to also look, decently good, because now you are indulging a lot more on online meeting, online dating, and webinars. Obviously that is also included, right? So what do you do then? And your favorite salon is obviously shut. What do you do now? Can I go and, take that risk of getting myself groomed outside? Even that is not possible. So ultimately it is about DIY. So what do you do as a brand? So you quickly add new aspects, in your distribution channel. That is, the one I mentioned to you about medical stores. Quickly come back as a brand, and help the audiences engage with you, because now you're dishing out a lot of content pieces which are actually helping you to bring that confidence to style your own self, right? So you don't have to go outside your house and still be very, very safe and look decently okay. I'm again repeating, decently okay, right? It's not like a professional grooming that you will do to your own self, because zindagi mein kabhi kiya nahi tha, and now today you're doing it on your own. So I think these are some of the interesting things that we did in these last 100 years or so. And trust me, it has really brought a lot of traction to the category. So the demand for my grooming essentials has increased by more than 20%, which is so amazing, right? And what better than, you having a confident customer in the bucket. The customer was actually relying on somebody else before COVID happened. Now the same customer is equipped with the confidence and equipped with the small learning curve that he or she has, that okay, if required, I can groom my own self. And what I'm like, look at my own example. I not only groomed whatever way I could, but I also groomed my cat also with the same trimmer, So I think, and now I was wondering as to how my pet is going to react, but now I think he seems to, love that whole experience. So I think these are the ways with, with which a brand, goes out from the regular domain and come to you as a friend. Because even if you look at the Maslow's theory, I think during these times, your basic needs and physiological needs were like really up on your agenda compared to your psychological needs or self-esteem needs, right? Because everybody wanted food, clothing, medicines, and basic things at home, right? Nothing beyond that. So I think that's where the brand played a very important role and for the customers.
Sure. So just as a last question, I would love a tip for an audience that's going to be coming to you with like the ideas. And this is going to be a range of people, right? People watching this will be creators, people watching this will be agencies, creative agencies, marketing agencies, digital agencies. So what's your word of advice? If they're coming to you with a pitch right now for an IP, which is likely to be digital unless it's for some point in the future, what are you going to be most excited about, and what are the things that they should just keep in mind? Rahul, maybe you can go first.
Yeah, so I think at this point of time, it's a time that I always believed in. I've done a whole session on this, which is called proactive pitch. This is a time when you guys can, work on the signals in the way that the brand and the customer is talking to each other. There's a lot of digital signals that you can capture, and request will be to probably invest some time in that, and then come up with an idea that basically helps them to, make that bond strengthen. Because I completely agree with Amit. Sometimes it's not the fault of the agencies, and sometimes it's not the fault of the brand as well. Because this is the time then when when people are distracted, when even the brands right now, they're trying to, like, their plans are changing, the marketing budgets are changing, team structures are changing, priorities are changing, new products are coming. So at this point of a time, brands are even busier than ever. Agencies are at this point of time are going through, or creators are also going through a lot of anxiety, right? So it's just that, just pull back, understands, read a lot of signal, go through what they're doing right now on the digital space, what people are saying about them, what are the comments that you read about, and just look at the basic connection between the audience and the brand. And if you can read those signals, chances are you'll come up with a good idea or a better idea.
See, I'm B2B, right? So my uh, pitch is how do, if an agency comes and tells me how to make the process more engaging, more gamified, and sharper, right? There, for example, I know of a fact that there are platforms which are beyond Teams and Zoom and so on, which provide this event kind of a feel, but they are proprietary. Can something? So I have no answer, but I would like to try some of those things to make the whole process more engaging, more gamified. See, in an event, what happens is, frankly, when I'm going to all of these events, the real work happens in the corridors, isn't it? I mean, we are not sitting in the conference room and listening to the talks, right? The real work happens because you are, meeting guys on the side, having a drink here, going across there, and so on. That's where the real connects happen. How do I replicate this in the digital world? I don't know, right? Breakout rooms, is it possible? Parallelly, the technology is improving, the video is improving, the other forms of transported 3D images is improving. So that there's a lot of dependence on that as well. So that is one thing. The other thing is that we also need to learn a lot from the TV production houses, because this format of I mean, this is a very good format that you're at least recording and you're going to play it back later. But there are other ways to do this a little better. So I think we have to learn from TV production houses and marry that into our events, as because more and more of my communications and my marketing is around events.
Yeah, so I think my only advice, if I can call this as an advice to the agency partner, would be that please have a point of view. I think that really works, wonders. I'm not going to repeat about how technological tools will really help you to create a better proposition. That is a given, right? That is the hardware part of it. But what I still look at is the strong point of view, because when you come to the to the client, with your proposition, which is very, very generic in nature, and trust me, I have seen again, no offense to anybody, these teams actually shifting the logo of the client from one to the other and from the other to somebody else. It's a copy paste mechanism. यहाँ नहीं चला तो कहीं और चलेगा और कहीं और नहीं चला तो कहीं और चल जाएगा. I think it doesn't work that ways. And so what you can do is you can actually have a strong point of view. And as I have been repeating n number of times across all the forums, that before we are a marketeer, we are a customer ourselves, right? So why don't you spend some time on the social media pages of that particular brand, understand what that brand is talking, how it is talking, what kind of customers are coming back, and what all they are connecting with, how are they reacting, because all these things put together will actually help you to have a point of view. I think this is what one thing that I have seen is missing very badly majorly across the kind of conversations I have with all my stakeholders. So I think, you also put in some effort before you want your client to also put in effort and co-create something together, right? So I think first of all, that bridge needs to be patched up, I think. So that's my only expectations from my partners. I hope it is not much.
Thank you so much for your time today. Krishna, thank you so much for joining us at the India Sponsorship Summit 2020. And yeah, we hope to catch you all again really soon.
Thanks, Tolika, and thank you to our esteemed panelists for joining us today.